Hey, good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Kurt's Corner. I decided to do something just a little bit different. Get out of the garage and come outside and do this episode. And this one is going to deal with the issue of police officers shooting unarmed people. Not just black people, but unarmed people. This is something I've been thinking about for a while. And some of the people who know me, you know, remember when this happened. So I'm going to tell you a little story and then give you my little input on this gun control or this police, what they call police brutality issue. Roughly 2 or 3 years ago, I lived in a town north of Seattle that it's a decent town. I just lived in the wrong area of town. One of my neighbors in this small apartment complex was a drug dealer, and he didn't try and hide it. You know, it was pretty blatant. Well, long story short is him and I didn't get along. You know, there was, young families there with young kids, bags of dope laying around outside of apartment, used needles laying around his apartment. Things just kind of were getting out of hand. You know, the police were in our apartment complex, and I believe there was only 3 buildings, maybe 14 townhomes total. And the police were there once a week, minimum once a week. And one day I'm out on my front porch talking to my neighbor, and the dope dealer's sister comes by me. Her car was parked in my parking spot, and what I was doing was taking a picture of her license plate. Actually, I was taking pictures of all the license plates that came into this area. We didn't know. And her and I got into a heated discussion, you know. She started yelling at me. I started yelling at her. She started yelling at me. She gets into her car and starts to drive away. I'm still yelling. While this is happening, her brother and 2 of his druggy friends come around the corner screaming, "We're gonna effing kill you." Now, what they don't know is I'm concealed carry. So they're maybe 10, 15 feet away from me, running, telling me they're gonna kill me, and I draw down on them. Now, this is in front of all of my neighbors. As I'm holding a gun on him, you know, he's still talking all of his crap. But I see a police car pull up, maybe 30 feet behind him. Somebody has called the police. So once the police get there, him and his buddies back down. I pull my phone out, I dial 911, I tell them, "Hey, I've just pulled my weapon on this guy who threatened to kill me." They ask me where the weapon is. I tell them it's in my other hand. They tell me a police officer is there. Can you go secure the weapon? So I take the gun in the house, I secure it. When I come back to the door, I got a couple M16s and a shotgun pointed at me. So, you know, they back me out into the parking lot at gunpoint, put me in handcuffs. We'll just fast forward, you know. They did what they were supposed to do. They didn't shoot me because I did what they asked me to do. But what I'm saying is this. That guy a drug dealer ended up getting eight years because he already had a record. He ended up getting 8 years in prison for what he had been doing. He pled, you know, for threatening to kill me. But the whole point of this video is, although I've grown up with guns, you know, my father had guns. You know, I have friends that are in corrections and police officers and state troopers back in New Jersey. I was scared to death that day I was gonna die. I was afraid for my life. When we went to court, the judge told this guy, you know that he could have killed you and been well within his right. I could have shot all three of them, but I didn't. What I don't understand is, I didn't go to a police academy. I didn't do any of that stuff. And I had enough sense to know that although I was scared to death, when I pulled that thing, they stopped. There was no need for me to shoot anymore. Why can't the police figure that out? Why can't they figure it out? They go through months of training. They go through psychological exams. They do all that crap, and yet they go to court and say, hey, I was in fear for my life. I was in fear for my life too, but I didn't shoot anybody. And I think it's a pretty lame excuse, you know. There are people that are afraid of their own freaking shadows. If you're not being threatened as a police officer, why are you in fear for your life? Are you watching too much TV? What is your agenda? Again, all I'm saying with this video is, just because you fear for your life, or just because you would be within your right to shoot somebody, doesn't mean that you have to shoot somebody. Something to think about. So, from Redmond, Washington today, y'all have a great day. Thanks for watching Kurt's Corner. Hit the share button. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.